Welcome to the Fulfilling the Mission podcast, a BYU-Idaho radio podcast where we explore the departments on campus and how they fulfill the mission of BYU-Idaho to develop disciple leaders of Jesus Christ. I'm Brandon Isle. We're in the Welcome Center on campus today, and joining me today are Daniel Kerr, he's the chair of the music department, and we have David Djambov, he's a senior in organ performance from Centerville, Utah. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
Glad to be here, thank you.
Now, I just wanted to get into your background a little bit, and I'm going to read this so I have it all right. Your education comes from the University of Southern California Thornton School of Music. You also taught at USC and at California State University, Los Angeles. You've been an accompanist for many groups and performed in venues, including the Conference Center and Tabernacle at Salt Lake City. So cool, so many experiences that you've
Great experiences, yes.
And you've been here at BYU-Idaho since 2004.
Right, 21 years now.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I think anytime there's an organ concert or performance, you are the one who's up there doing
I do a lot of that, yeah.
But the students do as well in devotional
Absolutely.
and other concerts. Let's start off, let's go through some of the programs and the bachelor's degrees and minors that students can get in the Department of Music.
Mm-hmm. We've got 4 main degrees, bachelor's degrees that we offer. We have the Bachelor of Arts degree in music, a Bachelor of Musical Arts in music, which is slightly more specialized than the BA. We have a Bachelor of Music degree, which is the professional degree for students who want to go on into a performance-focused field. And then Bachelor of Music Education for those who want to do K-12 teaching. And then we have a minor in music as well. And we have a concentration in music for those who want to do a interdisciplinary degree, but have a music focus to that degree.
Yeah.
And various clusters in recording or music theory or church music. So many options for many different kinds of students.
About how many students do you have in the program?
Basically, we've got over 300 students right now in our program.
Yeah, so many lives being touched by music.
Yes.
And they can explore these different avenues, and we'll get into that a little bit more. David, how did you get into this program?
Well, I took interest in organ and keyboard instruments and choral music when I was, a young teenager, and ended up studying a little bit in high school with some organists in Salt Lake area. And then ultimately, after serving a mission, I decided to apply here. I knew of the great pipe organ. I didn't know anything about Dr. Kerr, but once I got here and got to know him, just super grateful to be able to work with him and the excellent instrument I did know about. So.
Yeah, so you knew about the Rafati organ
Yes.
already.
I'd seen pictures and a few videos of him playing and some other students and thought, that looks pretty nice. I want to go there.
Yeah, I was in a concert recently, and somebody who'd never played it before had sat down for the first time, and he was just like, this is the thing.
It's a pretty special instrument.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the Rafati and some of the venues that you're able to play in the snow?
Yeah, on campus we have so many great instruments. We've got the Rafati organ, which is our showcase pipe organ. 67 ranks of pipes, augmented with some digital voices as well. The Rafati company is from Padua, Italy, built for the Snow Center in 1983. So it's been around for a little while, but great comprehensive instrument. And the acoustics in Barris Concert Hall are amazingly favorable to the organ. It's a great place for organ music. But we also have practice rooms. We've got a brand new studio with the 11 rank Schoenstein organ. The console is 4 manuals, pedal board, which is enormously huge for only 11 ranks of pipes. But we wanted it to mimic the layout of the Rafati organ downstairs, so students can practice upstairs in the studio as if they're practicing downstairs. All the pistons, all the keyboards, they're laid out identical. And it's a great place for teaching and for practice. Then we've got a smaller tracker action, kind of an older mechanism, pipe organ. We've got electronic instruments. We have a clavichord, a pedal clavichord, which is a really early Baroque instrument that refines technique nicely. We've got the BYU-Idaho Center organ, the 5 manual console there. We have Taylor Chapel with 3 manuals and pipes, and then various other chapels around campus have organs. But we are blessed with some great instruments here.
Is this typical of a university this size to have this many things?
We've, for our size, I think we're doing really well. If you want to go to a high-end, there are other programs that have graduate degrees in organ, and they've got some pretty nice instruments too. But for our size, we're doing really well.
Yeah. Now, what got you started into organ studies and just loving music like this?
Yeah, it was early on. I started taking, well, my mom took me to piano lessons when I was 6. We'll say, put it that way. But she says I had exhibited an early, I'd pretend play the air piano and hum along. And so she got me in lessons at 6. And about when I was 8, I changed teachers to a woman who was our stake organist. And she had a grand piano in her music room and an organ, a 3-manual digital organ. So I was at piano lessons one day and I saw the organ. I said, I want to learn that too. And I was about 9 years old. And she said, well, we can do that. And so I'd have 1 week of piano lesson, the next week an organ lesson. We'd just alternate weeks doing piano and organ. So that got me interested. I got bit by the bug. And by the time I was a deacon, they were having me do hymns in church. And I'd start out by, they'd have me do the opening hymn, and then they'd have me do the opening and the closing hymn, and then they'd have me do it all. And I just kept studying with her up until my junior year in high school. And then she said, I can't teach you anymore. Here's some names of people in the LA area that I'd recommend you continue with. And so I chose one name based relatively close to where I lived, and he was a professor at USC. So took from him in my junior and senior years of high school, and then it was time for college. So I thought, well, BYU, and I'm going to apply to BYU. I applied to a bunch of schools, but of course I applied to USC where he was teaching and got in there, and just it felt natural to continue my studies with him. So I did my schooling down there, and of course it's time for college. What do I want to major in? Well, music, of course.
Yeah,
what else would I want to do? Yeah. So did that and pursued those degrees, and that's what got me into it.
Yeah, that's so neat. I love that BYU-Idaho is a teaching college where somebody with a passion for what they're teaching, you've done it, you've been there, you have that education, now you get to share it with these students. What is that dynamic like in the classroom as you're sharing your experiences and helping them become better?
That's the best part of teaching, and this part of the work here is with the students, demonstrating the excitement that you have for the passion for your instrument and the passion for what you're studying. I love teaching music theory here. I didn't grow up being a theory major, but I love music theory and just how it's all put together and how voices interact. So to get to do that with students who, not all of them are that interested going in, right? It's like, theory, why do I need to learn theory?
Yeah.
But you get to light that fire and show them how exciting it can be and what you can do with it and what you can learn and how that can inform your playing, your performance. The eyes light up and it makes a big difference to them and their musicianship. But it's the best part of teaching.
Yeah.
Is helping students get excited about it.
Seeing those eyes light up is surely the best. David, did you have those moments where theory, but then something just kind of hit you?
I mean, I definitely love most aspects of music. So theory to me is also exciting, but there's those moments where you hit roadblocks and you're like, dang, I can't do this, whether it's performance or something theoretical or history, whatever it is. And it's easy to get frustrated, but if you just take the time to study or to practice or to just open your ears to what your instructor has to teach you, then with some time, you'll figure it out, and then you're going to feel great about it, and you'll be excited to be doing whatever you're doing and have that, reach that next level of your musicianship. So.
Yeah. Now you're a senior, so you've taken a lot of music classes.
Yeah.
Tell me about your growth that you've seen in yourself as you've learned not just organ, but I know the music program, you've got to do other things as well, right?
Sure. Yeah, we try to, foster well-rounded musicians. It's not just about playing your instrument or, being able to sing really well, whatever it is that your emphasis is in. But you need to know the theory, you need to know the history, you need to be able to analyze music, and you need to be able to sight read and sight sing and all sorts of different skills. But for me personally, I think a big part of my journey is confidence. I came in to this degree really excited and passionate about music, but definitely with very low confidence in myself.
So performing was a struggle?
Yeah, I mean, I still experience, some performance anxiety, but I felt, I just was comparing myself, to all sorts of people around me and people you see on YouTube and, just the greatest musicians. And it's easy to feel like, wow, I really can't do anything, right? But through getting training and mentoring from great faculty, I've been able to build my confidence and build my knowledge extensively to be able to feel a lot more, competent. And, you still see there's that gap where, even between you and other students or you and the faculty, obviously, there's so much to learn, right? But I've definitely come to feel more confident in my abilities and to just, have more and more enjoyment in the different musical abilities and knowledge that I've been able to gain. So,
Yeah. Practice is a big part of all of your degrees. Why is that so important for the students to practice hours and hours a day?
Hours and hours a day is right. It's critical because we're developing very specialized and very intricate skills. I mean, it's not just for a keyboardist pushing down the key and letting it up, but it's the rate at which you do that, the speed. If you're on the piano, how hard are you pushing? How light are you pushing to get the nuance? How fast is the air blowing through the instrument? How fast is your vibrato? How quickly can you get across the string? It takes a long time to just develop the neurological capacities and pathways for that to happen fluently, easily, and where you can sight read a piece of music that you haven't seen before and just have it come out musical. Mm-hmm. That takes a ton of practice and effort. But you put it in, especially in just the scales, the exercises, the grunt work that nobody loves doing. But you're building those neural pathways that can just be responsive in a nanosecond to what you see on a page. And you're learning you bring in music history, music theory, conducting skills, singing skills. All that forms you as a musician to know how to not just play the notes or sing the notes, but how to do it expressively in the right way, at the right time, at the right speed, and to create a piece of art, a piece of oral art.
Yeah, taking it from the page to your heart and then to the hearts of your listeners.
Yeah.
That's the part you can't teach, really?
It's hard to quantify that. You've got to get it off the page through your eyes as the performer, through your brain, through your vocal cords or your fingers or your arm or whatever it is, and then through the air and then into the ear of the listener and then ultimately to their heart, right? Because that's what we want to touch. We want people to have an artistic, emotional, spiritual experience with music. And there's a lot of touch points between printed page and the heart of the listener.
Yeah. I think for me, music is that touch point where I feel the Spirit the most is, I don't know, maybe it's the words, maybe it's just everybody singing. We had, just in sacrament meeting, we were singing Gethsemane, and the children just in that room were belting it out, and it was so powerful. And it just touches you in a way that maybe other things don't quite touch you.
Right.
How do you teach the students that they need to convey that in their music, whether it's church-related music or not?
Right, but hopefully it's easy and obvious in church-related music because it carries the text that goes with it, the meaning of that text, and we bring our religious experience to that. But we need to be explicit with students about, hey, while you're dealing with notes, while you're dealing with fingering, while you're dealing with how you breathe, you got to remember what this music is about and what it's representing. And let's say it's not a religious piece of music, let's say it's a Beethoven sonata or something, that's still, there's great spirituality in music and in the great composers, ancient and living now, who are just channeling the Spirit through their notes. We want the students to convey that, not only just the professionalism of the performance, but the emotion behind it. So we have to be pretty direct about that. And of course, we encourage our students to be in tune with the Spirit, right? The honor code helps do that. We help, the devotionals help that to happen. Church attendance, which of course we encourage, and all of those things, just to remember that this is about the Spirit. Heavenly Father is great at everything, and He's great at music too. It's His art form, and He knows that it's a powerful conduit of the Spirit in whatever kind of music that we are interacting with. It can carry the Spirit if we're approaching it with the right way and the right heart.
Yeah. David, take me into the classroom with these teachers, and is it working? Like, are you feeling that? Do you have moments maybe you can share that you're like, oh yeah, this is it?
Absolutely. I think that because we have such incredible faculty, whether you're in a one-on-one setting, which I've been blessed to spend lots of time with Dr. Kerr one-on-one and learn from him directly, or you're in a classroom with other students, just the vast knowledge and experience that this incredible set of faculty have definitely, has influenced me, right? I think maybe a big one is just exposure to repertoire. In particular, Dr. Kerr has done a ton to just show me so much incredible music. And we've gone to concerts together, we've just listened to recordings, and hearing this inspired music has done a ton to just, it lights the fire, it fuels the fire, and then it motivates you to want to go and make that kind of music, write that kind of music, and experience more of it together with people who appreciate it. So
Yeah. Is there a particular piece that's really touched you in a way that others may not have?
that's a good question. It kind of depends. It's hard to like pinpoint one thing. In particular, Anglican choral music is a genre that you have shared with me that has really, really touched me and inspired me. So
You have to take a trip to Europe and really experience it in a
I know,
cathedral.
yes.
In the sacred space, in the cathedral where it was conceived, where the acoustics are just right to make it blossom.
Yeah.
But yeah, that music just takes the scriptural words, the words of the Bible, and imbues them with a sense of the divine, really.
Yeah, it really is a neat experience. I mean, we talked about the Bears Concert Hall earlier and the acoustics there, but really different churches, they all have different acoustics, and yeah, you're in that space and you really do feel it.
Right, yeah, and it makes a difference. I mean, we can hear it through headphones, we can hear it in many different places, but there's something about the right acoustic and the purpose for which the building was conceived, and the music was conceived for that, and it all clicks.
Now, the students in the programs, the music programs, all get an opportunity to perform. I say opportunity, like
Yes.
they have to perform.
There's an
right?
expectation.
Yeah.
Ensembles, choirs, orchestras, symphony, right? All
Right.
things. And not just here on campus, but off campus through tours and different opportunities. Why is that so important for these students to have those opportunities?
Music, at its core, is a performance art medium, right? I mean, we can study musicology, and that's an important part of what we do, but until you can make the music yourself, you're not fully invested in it. So students have to have performance opportunities. In the studio, you learn repertoire, you learn technique, you learn, organists learn to play hymns, and that's all very good, but the rubber hits the road when you're out in devotional, playing the hymn for everybody in the Ice Center, when you learn so much just through that process about tempo and timing and breathing with the congregation and all of that. And you get the power of another 10, 15,000 people singing along with you. That's an experience you cannot replicate just in the studio, right?
Right, it's different taking it from practice to all of a sudden there's this feedback, right?
Right, yeah.
This is real. People are singing with
you're
me.
you're doing it, right? The same for any other instrument or voice. You're learning orchestral excerpts in your lessons, but that's not really meaningful until you're playing your part with the rest of the symphony orchestra, and you're hearing the whole picture of what the piece is supposed to sound like. And then you get an audience out there, and there's that feedback of audience and performer that just makes it electrifying.
Yeah.
And you play it in a good hall where the acoustic is helping the music come alive, or whatever that needs to happen with the acoustic. There's an energy there in the performance that isn't there in rehearsals or your individual one-on-one practice. That's critical to the process. It finishes the feedback loop of composer, performer, audience. They're all important.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about performing?
I think that that atmosphere is really powerful, like you mentioned. And so while there is, for most of us, some nerves involved, and that can be kind of a challenge, and you need some courage and some determination to be on that hot seat, because what you practiced, depending on how well you fortified it, may not stand the test of all of that pressure, but I think maybe as someone who experiences a lot of that pressure, having finished and knowing that I did well and feeling good about what I did, maybe that's the best part for me, is being able to feel like that went well. I feel good about my preparation, my execution. So,
Have you had the opportunity to go on tour and experience these different venues that may or may not have good acoustics, or
yes,
large,
yes.
small crowd?
Yeah, I went with the Collegiate Singers a few years ago and got to sing with them, got to play the organ with them. And as an organist, anytime you go to a new venue, each organ is essentially unique,
Yeah.
including the acoustic, right? And so having to prepare everything on each organ was an interesting experience. Had to skip some meals and set everything up.
The stops going to be different.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But it's a great experience to get to do that.
Yeah, it's so neat that BYU-Idaho gives that opportunity to students. And you're not probably going to go to Australia or somewhere, but there's so many places and venues you can go to in the United States and Canada most recently, and it's just so cool.
Yeah. I mean, we take students down to LA to see the organs down there. We go down to Salt Lake not infrequently to play on the Temple Square organs. And they're here. We've got great opportunities here.
Yeah. When you're talking to students as they come through the programs, what opportunities are there for them to continue to perform or teach or whatever track they're looking for? What jobs are they getting, and how are you preparing them for those?
That's an important question that we're looking at more and more as we move forward with our degrees. Music as a field is somewhat notoriously difficult to break into because you're either really good and are going to make it to superstar status, or it's like, okay, I'm going to learn this, but I may have to wait tables or something for a while. And sometimes it takes a while for a career to take off. But there are so many ways that a musician can move forward with their careers. Every musician has to understand that. I always tell them there's not a table for you at the Career Center that says, musicians, come and sign your 6-figure starting salary with us, right? We all know that we're going forward into an area where we have to advocate for ourselves, and our portfolio, our performance, our auditions are our calling card, right? So if we're good, there are jobs out there. There are jobs in symphony orchestras, military bands, performing groups around the country, around the world for that matter. Graduate school is a big part of where many of our students go just to get that extra finishing to land a really high-powered symphony job somewhere in the country. But there are many opportunities for teaching, private studios, teaching in colleges and universities. Our music ed program places everyone who's looking for a job in public schools. And that, while not always the most lucrative position, is incredibly fulfilling for those who feel the calling to go in and do that. And that's a great option. But music is great also if you want to go to law school or medical school or journalism school. Or professional schools love music undergrads because they know that musicians have learned dedication. They've learned how to, we talk about the nerves for performance, we all feel them, but we know how to control that and corral that and focus it into performance. We work well with others. Ensemble experiences teach us that we're not an island unto ourselves and we have to coordinate with others. We have dedication to practice. We think outside the box. We have an artistic mind that can counterbalance the more analytical mindsets to just give a broader workforce. So there are plenty of opportunities to parlay a music education into many future jobs.
Yeah. What are you looking to do? I know you're going to grad school, but what's your end goal?
I'm hoping to be a performer, whether that's in a church or, working at a university. I haven't, set it in stone, or I'm open to whatever, happens. But my hope is to go get the doctorate in organ and hopefully play at a big church, or, end up at the Tabernacle. Just it's a competitive thing, but there are enough venues out there and positions that I'm hoping to do something probably in sacred music, but I think I'd be happy being a performer.
Yeah. I have some friends who went through this program and do play for churches. They're not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints necessarily, but they are Christian churches that still have organs in their churches and pay somebody professionally to play that. How do you talk about that dynamic?
We definitely talk about that because it's a possible career path. Doesn't have to be the only one, but it can work. It's great training ground for someone who wants to be good at sacred music. Every tabernacle organist going back probably 100 years, every faculty member in a CES school who's teaching certainly organ and probably other sacred music areas has done some work in another church. You cut your teeth there, you learn how things go, you get a ton of experience. We do address, however, know which church you belong to, and you make sure you get to sacrament meeting. For much of my life, I was organist at other churches in Southern California, but always at sacrament meeting, just multiple wards in a building, you can make that work easily. You show up, you do your calling, you're doing the ministering, you're in a sacrament meeting all the time, and you keep grounded in the faith that we have. And I found that it's an interesting missionary venue to represent the church, because every church I've worked for knows who I am and which church I affiliate with. And it brings up some really rich, positive conversations with the clergy, with the members of the congregation. Got a great story of a choir member who asked about a Book of Mormon for someone, a bedmate in his mother's hospital room or something. I said, yeah, I can take care of that for you. I can help you do that. And just some great conversations about Tabernacle Choir and the work that they do, the Tabernacle organ, what we believe. I bared my testimony at many an interview when they're asking about my Christian faith, and it opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
So if you do it right, you can absolutely be a strong member of the church and share your gifts with other Christian people and enrich their lives and realize that there are great people all across the country and across the world who are wanting to share Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's so cool. I know in the music department there are so many opportunities to play sacred music and to learn sacred music. For example, you have the New Hymns Festival and you have the oratorios that are commissioned. Can you tell me about those opportunities as well?
Mm-hmm. I love that in our department we are interested in new sacred music. We feel that's a niche that we can be pursuing here in the church. So for the last almost 30 years now, we have had the Sacred Oratorio Commission, where every other year we commission a new oratorio, 60 minutes long, choir, orchestra, soloists, large-scale composition that many of the great composers of the church have stepped up to write for us. And in some cases, we've found some up and coming, and this has given them a boost to do that. Our most recent one was just, 2 years ago now. Ethan Wickman from Texas wrote a magnificent work for us based on Latter-day Scripture, a lot of it from Pearl of Great Price, Doctrine and Covenants. We've had an oratorio a few years ago, Words of David A. Bednar, or the text, but always dipping into the Scriptures, especially restored gospel Scriptures, words of prophets and apostles, and fantastic music. So that we want to keep that tradition alive and have new music written. It's not just playing the masters from 200 years ago. The hymn festival that we started 21 years ago now is the same thing. It's amazing how many people out there in the church have written hymn texts and don't know what to do with them. And they start sending them to us, and we evaluate them, and the ones that show great promise, we give to our composition students, say, write a tune for this hymn that's singable and accessible to anyone who wants to sing it. Write a harmonization for the organist to play. Then we get together every winter semester and premiere about 15 of these new hymns in Barris Hall and have people come and sing them. And it's a creative outlet, and it lets people know that music is not dead. Let's keep writing it. Let's create new things that enrich faith, build faith, and spread the gospel.
Yeah. Have you had an opportunity to be part of either of these things?
Oh, yes. As an organist, you'll always play for the hymn festivals, and usually the oratorios don't have an organ part, but this last one thankfully did, and it was excellent, and I got to participate in that, which was phenomenal. So.
Yeah. Well, and David, being the TA, he edits all the hymns for the hymn festival, typesets them, makes the program happen.
You're immersed.
He's the man that actually pulls it
work
off.
with that.
Yeah. So. Well, tell me about how you help students kind of come together in different ways. I know we have societies on campus, and obviously you're playing together, but what about these relationships? How do students kind of get together and get to know each other instead of just being in the practice room all day?
It can be very isolating in a practice room, but happily that practicing that is to bring the students together in ensembles, which are critical to what we do. So you're playing together in the orchestra, the band, singing in the choirs. We have many of those ensembles. And each ensemble has its culture, and you're spending a lot of time in rehearsal. You go on tour and you're spending 24/7 with them, right?
Yeah,
for a week, just traveling around and meals together and performances. So there's a great camaraderie that comes from ensemble experience and from the studio experience. Every instrument and voice has its weekly master class. So all the organists were together for an hour every week, just us, performing for each other, talking about organ things, and the same with the cellists and the flautists and the clarinetists. And that builds a sense of community and camaraderie. And we'll do socials together at the beginning of the semester, ends of the semester. That's how we'll do our brass area. Just went down to International Trumpet Guild in Salt Lake last week. Certainly the trumpet area and some of the other brass players, and that's just a great bonding experience. And then we do have the societies as well. So we've got the NAFME, the Music Education Society that meets. We've got music teachers that's focused on piano. We have American Guild of Organists. We have a chapter here on campus. We've got Brass Society. We've got Woodwind Society. We've got Composers Society for those students that are interested in composition. And they meet and do activities regularly as well. So there are many opportunities for us to connect and bond and build these relationships.
Yeah. What have you taken advantage of during your time here at BYU-Idaho?
I've definitely, all music students have to be in the ensembles. It's not only just, a requirement, but it's something that we enjoy to do as well, right? But spent a lot of time in the choirs and spent some time in the Baroque ensemble, because got to experiment in the instrumental world too, but part of the American Guild of Organists Society as well. So definitely the standard organ realm, but yeah, I've enjoyed interfacing with choral people in particular. So
Yeah, so many ways to get together and get to know each other.
yeah.
That's so neat. Well, I'll ask you one last question. How is the music department fulfilling the mission of BYU-Idaho? We'll start with you.
Okay. We are fulfilling the mission of BYU-Idaho because we want our students to be the best musicians that they can be. And we believe and teach that excellence in music is a manifestation of excellence in being, and excellence as a son or a daughter of God. We want to measure up in developing the gifts that Heavenly Father has given us. But we also, just right with that, is we want disciples of Jesus Christ who love music and are good at music, can use that music to serve their wards and stakes, to serve their families, to worship God through that music, and to use that gift to take it out and share it with the rest of the world. So be excellent at what you're doing, do your best, share those gifts, bear your testimony through music, let the audience see the light that's in your eyes because of the way you've taken Heavenly Father's gift. Use the effort that President Nelson says he loves effort. He'd give that example with the little girl violinist. Do your very best and let the gospel shine through that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's interesting because it's almost paradoxical to be a disciple and a leader at the same time. But the beauty of learning music here at BYU-Idaho is that you do become a great leader in the music field. You learn to have leadership as an organist or as a conductor or as a singer, just owning the music that you're performing, just getting all the skills you need to have the greatest level of excellence possible in your performances, your compositions, whatever it is you're interested in. But at the same time, there's that discipleship. You're following Jesus Christ. His doctrine, his way is the way that you are orienting yourself. So that puts your leadership in music and in your life in context that orients you in the world. And so you don't turn to other places of worship that don't lead to happiness and fulfillment. That's the beauty of studying here, is that we have that focus on the gospel of Jesus Christ and the Savior that can fill you as a person and augment your leadership in other ways, and in this case, music.
Yeah, thank you so much. David Djambov and Daniel Kerr, it's great having you on the Fulfilling the Mission podcast today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.